Thank you, Chief Martin. You mentioned red flag warnings. I know sometimes the public hears this terminology, red flag warning, fire weather watch. It can be confusing. So that's why we've invited Brian here to kind of explain some of that terminology. What does that mean? What should the public do when they hear there's a red flag warning in effect? Where can they go for that information about the timing and the areas impacted?
Yeah, great question, Leah. Thanks. And if you don't mind, I'm just going to share my screen really quick just to show a couple things for everybody to kind of think about when we have a red flag warning out. Sorry, let's see here, share. And so hopefully you're seeing a web page that say, what does it mean? Can somebody confirm that?
Yes.
Perfect, thank you.
Excellent.
So this is actually from Detroit, Michigan's Department of Emergency Management out there, and they did a really good job of putting this together with Weather Service. But so going from the right to the left here, we have outlooks, we have advisories, we have watches, and we have warnings. So the outlooks are really just kind of that, we're doing an outlook for a longer time frame. Advisories, like in the winter, we might issue a flash flood advisory. Essentially, that means there is something imminent or occurring at that time, but you'd really have to put yourself in harm's way in order to be truly impacted by it. So it's more of like a heads up, stay out of this area because there's something going on here. The watch is, hey, all the ingredients for something bad to happen are there. We see them coming down the pipe, but they haven't all come together yet to really build that something. Whereas the warning is really the apex of everything. That's all the ingredients are there and they've come together, they've baked and they've done their thing, and now you can actually materialize something occurring. So in a red flag type event, and I'm going to switch over web pages here. This is our homepage here, weather.gov/Bay Area. And I just want to take you to the our fire weather page here, and I want to show you what we look at within our office for red flag criteria. With my here we go. So this is the red flag warning criteria that we use in office to decide whether or not we're going to issue a red flag warning. So I want to point out three things here. One, in the top here, you can see that they talk about 10-hour fuel moistures. So this means that we have to have dry fuels in place. And then here along the vertical axis, you see relative humidities. So that means we have to have low relative humidities, so there's not a lot of moisture in the atmosphere. And then along the horizontal axis here, you see sustained winds, and those have different wind bands. So when we meet these different criteria within this matrix, this is when we issue a red flag warning. Sometimes there might be something going on, like let's say Labor Day weekend and everybody wants to get out and barbecue, and we are borderline red flag. So we're not quite expecting to meet that criteria, but we're borderline. We're going to issue it anyway to give a little bit of that top cover and that almost socio what am I trying to think of here? The societal impacts. There it is. The societal impacts of it all. Yeah. Thanks, Jason. Yeah, because there is a social component to this as well. If it's dry and sunny and beautiful, the only reason a fire is going to start is because somebody starts it, whether it's purposefully or inadvertently, like what Chief was talking about earlier. So that's the reason we'll issue it, especially when we have societal impacts potentially affecting that. So really the red flag warning is your time to take stock of things around you, know that the conditions are right to carry fire, and that's your time to make sure that that bag that you should have by the front door already is in place and ready to go. You have your go kit, you have your go bag, your bug out bag, whatever you want to call it, ready to go, because in those conditions, if a fire gets going, it has the opportunity to have explosive growth, kind of like we saw during the Atlas fire, even the glass fire, those types of conditions. And that's when you need to have redundant sources of information coming into your home. So you'll have your cell phone, you have TV, you have radio, you should have a NOAA weather radio as well. And these sources of information, as well as know your neighbors, have a good relationship with your neighbors, knock on each other's door and make sure each other's okay, because you're going to get information and you want to share it with your neighbors. And if you need to evacuate, you want to get out as fast as you can. Do not hesitate when you get evacuation warnings or evacuation orders. Make sure that you abide by those and get out. So in long, that's what the watch and warning really kind of go to, Leah.